Hello guys and welcome back. In this video we're gonna use Unreal 5.4 that was released last week to create some PCG content. For those who doesn't know, PCG is a way to generate content inside of Unreal in a procedural way, so it can be really handy for all sort of things. In this video we're gonna focus in the very basics of the PCG, and also how can we interact PCG with the water system, since a PCG is often used to create environments. Know how to interact the water system with the PCG, it can be really handy to generate environments really fast. And that's it, so let's go to Unreal Engine and start creating some cool stuff. So guys, we are here inside of Unreal 5.4. Nothing changed, I believe, in the interface, the previous interface, and I create a brand new project. First things first, if you like the way my layout is, you just need to go here and load layout for classic layout. I prefer that better. The other thing that we need to do to start using PCG and the water system, so we need to go in Edit and Plugins. Here we need to type PCG. As you can see, all my PCG plugins are enabled, so we need to do that as well. So yeah, we need to enable those plugins, and the engine will ask you to restart, so we need to restart and then open the project again. Here we have the default map of Unreal. I think this map is too big. I'm gonna create a brand new level, so I'm gonna go here in File, New Level. The basic template is fine, Create. Here I'm gonna delete this shape, you don't need it, and I'm gonna create a landscape. So I'm gonna create a landscape over here. And the default values are fine, so I'm gonna go here and hit Create. I'm going to create some noise, some hills, to be a little bit less tedious. So I'm gonna go here in noise. Not sure, maybe it's 2. Yeah, I think it's fine. So I'm gonna just, by the way, this noise brush is really helpful to create some hills and some landscape. So I'm gonna do that just to not have a completely flat surface. Anyway, I think that this way is fine. Other thing that I'm gonna do is create a material. So forest floor. In our material graph, I downloaded a few surface. I'm gonna use this mossy ground. I'm gonna click and drag. So texture sample, roughness, normal. By the way, guys, I'm doing this fast because I have other videos explain that with more details. So if you want to check out any of the videos to understand better what I'm doing, feel free to take a look in my channel. Just because this video is about PCG, so I don't want to lose a lot of time doing materials. But yeah, I just create these materials to be a little bit less tedious. And apply, and here also I need to save my level, so save my level as forest PCG, save, and here I need to find the landscape material, and then I put my material. Right now is look horrible. I'm gonna create just some texture variation. It's really useful, breaking the UVs. So I'm gonna break the UVs, and to detailing won't be that apparent. I just need to change one setting. I need to change from none to derivative in MIP value mode. And here shift UVs. These. By the way, guys, if you don't want to see this material creation, feel free to skip for other parts of the videos. I'm just doing an initial setup. Be a little bit better, but it's up to you. So I'm gonna hit apply. Now you have a little bit better the material. Yeah, I think it's fine. Okay, now let's create our. I'm gonna create a lake and a river. So, by the way, if you never used the water system before, I enabled the water system, and if you click here in the place actors, I'm just drag and drop this water body lake. So now we have a lake, and if you want to change the overall shape of the lake, feel free to do that. You can hit can move the individual points if you want, or if you hold Alt while clicking some points, you can create more points and create a different shape. So I create a lake over here, and I'm gonna create a river as well. So here's the river. Sometimes the points simply doesn't work the way that we expected. So here I have this river. I won't take much time doing something really fancy because it's not the objective of this tutorial, but feel free to tweak the river and the lake the way you seems fit. So yeah, so here maybe make the lake a little bit like that. Yeah, I think it's fine. Okay, now let's start with the juicy part, the PCG. To create a PCG, I'm gonna create a PCG volume. So if I click here in the place actors, have this PCG volume, and you can see that right now it's really tiny. And the size of the PCG volume matters because they will spawn anything that you create procedurally just inside of this volume. So let's make this volume bigger, maybe 50, and then we can increase the size even more later if you want. So right now we have the volume over here. It's already pretty big, but we're gonna grow this volume later. So okay, now that's the first step, the PCG volume, and now we need to create a PCG graph. So if I go here in the content browser, right click and search for PCG. So here's the PCG graph. First PCG. Understand this PCG graph the same. Understand this PCG graph as a material editor or a blueprint graph. They use like the same logic, the same approach. So now that we created this first graph, here in the volume, we need to go in the outliner and search for your volume. It's over here. And if you type graph, I'm gonna type graph, you can see that they are asking for an instance, instance graph. So I'm gonna drag this graph and put over here. We need to do that because here we have this PCG volume. The PCG graph, it's like the controller. So it's where you're gonna start creating logic and comments to tell this PCG volume what we need to do inside of this volume. That's why that part is really important, otherwise it won't work. So I'm gonna open the first graph, and the PCG graph that I called forest graph. And as you can see, it's pretty similar to material graph or the blueprint graph if you're already familiar with Unreal. And here we have the input and the output. They changed that in the version 5.2 and the 5.3, I believe. You have a bunch of parameters over here, but you don't have that anymore. So the input and the output are being using now in the PCG graph to put PCGs inside of the PCG most of the time. So we won't use the input and the output in this tutorial, but probably we're gonna use them in future tutorials about PCG that probably we're gonna create, because we are just going to scratch the surface in this video. So here, what do I want to do with this PCG? Well, I want to create a forest with a few trees, and this forest will be around the lake and the river. And then I want to create a way that the PCG understand that if it eats water, you don't want to spoil any trees, any rocks, any leaves or any grass or anything that you want to put inside of the forest because it's a water. So that's my overall goal here. And then let's go and start doing that. In our forest graph, let's create some way to create some points. So the first thing that we need to do, it's because you're gonna use the volume directly in our landscape, so you depend the landscape to create our trees, for instance, or anything that you're gonna create. You need to go here and you need to use the node get landscape data. So this landscape data, you're gonna search in your level for a landscape, and then you can output several data from this landscape. And the data that we are looking for is the surface, because you want to place anything that you want in the surface of the landscape. So there is a node called surface sampler. So that's the one. And if I go here, nothing will happen just yet. And the first thing that we need to do is I need to enable a debug mode. So the debug mode is a way to change the PCG features and the PCG logic in real time, so you can see in the interface in the level. So if I click in the node, the surface sampler, and hit D, that will be in debug mode. And if I go here and hit generate, as you can see that now you are creating a lot of points, random points, and I'm gonna move around and change these points real soon. So right now, as you can see, there is no points in the water, but that's just because our volume is not deep enough. So if I put our volume more close to the water, you can see that it's going to start spawning points inside of the water as well. So okay, now that's the first step in the right direction, but we can do like much more things. The first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create another node called transform points, and then I'm gonna hit D as well, and then I'm gonna hit D in the surface sample just to let the real-time logic just in the transforming points. The transform points is other really important node in PCG because you can randomize how the points are being spawned. So if I go here, I have the rotation minimum, I think zeros makes sense, and the rotation max. So if I put here 360 in the z-axis, you can see that all the points now are randomly rotated from 0 to 360, and that's already generates some randomness, which is often really useful to create environment. Other thing that we can do is the scale. We're gonna change the scale, the minimum scale for 0.5 and the max scale to 1.2. and then we can see that all the points have different scales, so we can randomize even further, and this way you can randomize. So now the cool thing that with just those 3 nodes, we already can spawn any mesh that you want using these points in the level. So if I go here and use another node called static mesh spawner, then I'm gonna hit T, nothing will happen just yet, and I'm gonna go in the mesh entries and hitting the plus button in the index in the description. Have here an option to select some mesh. So I'm using the European hornbeam assets. It's like a really good quality Mexican trees that you can download for free in the marketplace, so check it out. I have a lot of hornbeam trees over here, so it's a pack and it's for free, so take a look in the marketplace of Unreal that you can find it. So, and I'm gonna hit the field 1. I think it makes sense. And now you have forest. Right now it's a really dense forest and you have just one kind of tree. So other thing that I'm gonna do here, in the surface sample, I'm gonna change the scale. So I'm gonna change from 0.1 to 0.05, maybe even less. So here it's amount of points that will be spawned per meter. So have 0.01, and then you have a few trees. It's not that dense, so it's better. And now I can go back here in the static spawner and I can create another array element and go here in the descriptions and search maybe for another kind of tree. Maybe this, I don't know which one, but I don't know, maybe this one. So it might take a while, but now you can see that we have 2 kind of trees. They're randomized by scale, by rotation, and it's feeling really natural. Perfectly play over here. And take a look, walk around, you can see that it seems like pretty random. Of course, you need to put more stuff in the forest, but you already have a good amount of trees and they look like really random as a forest. And that's pretty cool because you use like 3 nodes, 4 nodes, and you already have that. So it's really fast. And if I go here in the volume and I scale, you can see that we can scale the size that you want. And you're gonna have a lot of trees in a matter of a few minutes. We have a forest. And again, if you go here to play, you can see that all the trees are placed exactly in the landscape, so it seems fine. And you have a lot of trees. And you keep adding. So if you want to keep adding more and more elements to this array, and you're gonna have different kind of elements, because if I want, for instance, go here and another element. So let's search for some rock, boulder maybe. PCG boulder 2, maybe this one. Let's see. Now you can see that you have a few rocks as well. These rocks, they are just placeholders, but you understand what we can do. So we can add more and more things in our project to make it really believable if you want. And also we can do some stuff procedurally, other things not procedurally. So we can mix the 2 approaches and it'll be even better results. And now we have a problem, if you see, because you have the trees and everything that respawn in the river in our lake. So let's solve this problem. So going back here in our PCG graph, the thing that we need to do is get spline data. Why am I'm searching for spline data? Because if I go here and click in our river, as you can see, it is a spline. The same thing for our lake is a spline. So you need to somehow grab the information of this spline. So get spline data. And here, if I click in the spline data, I have actor filter. I have all world actors. And here we have the option by tag, which is really useful, but we're not talking about that in this video. It's just because you can create tags, but let's keep simpler and use by class. In by class, I can search for lake, and then you have the water body lake. Because you have just one lake, it's fine, but if you have more lakes, you need to select multiple. And here you can go and use what you need to do. You need to sample the spline line. So I'm gonna search for spline line sampler, and then what we need to do, we need to create a kind of a mask in our landscape with our spline to tell the spawner over here that in that mask we don't want to place any trees. So we already have this spline. So the outer node that we need to use is the projection node. So the projection node will project the spline directly in the projection target. So the projection target in this case will be our landscape. And then if I hit D and go back to our level, you can see that you have some lines around our lake because you are projecting the spline in our landscape. So far we are doing exactly that, what we want. But you have a problem because you don't need get just the spline area. You want everything that's in the interior of the spline, because the lake is happening inside of the spline, not around the spline. So to change that, you have an option in the graph, in spline sampler, which is in dimension, you have the interior. So if I go here, now we can see that our spline is thicker because it's projecting all the lake. And then, okay, now you have the information that we need, you have the projection that we need. So somehow you need to subtract these projections from the surface sampler. And to do that, there is another node called difference. So if I go here, the source is the surface sampler, and the projection will be the difference. And then instead of use the surface sampler in the transform points, gonna use the difference. And if I go here, we don't have any trees in the lake anymore. So I'm gonna disable the projection, and as you can see that now you have any rocks or anything that we spawn in the lake. And that's great because now you can create forest and put any amount of lakes and you won't have any problems. You're gonna save a lot of time in removing manually all the trees. And now we have the same problem with the river. The approach to solve this problem in the river is slightly different, but the train of thought is pretty much the same. Again, you need to get the spline data, but instead of the lake, now we need to search for river. Where is the river? Water river. And then again, you need to create a spline sampler. But now, as you can see, we already have an error. Even if I go here and create the projection node that you need to project the river and use the landscape data, you can see that you keep having this error, because if to use the interior in the dimension on interior as you did with the lake, you need to use closest spilines, and the river is not closed because you have a spiline that begins here and ends here, different from the lake. That's a closed loop. So you can use the interior. So we need to have a other way to solve the same problem. And to do that, it's not that hard. So I need to go here and put in spiline. And I need to use, before the projection, another node called bounce modifier. If you go here, you can see that now it's projecting just the spiline, but it's not the same thickness of our river. And that bounce modifier, you can see here that you have the bounce minimum and the max, and then it's just a matter to tweak the values. So if I go here, as you can see that now our projection is growing bigger. The easiest way to see which scale you need to use is just go here in the projection, create another difference node, because now we need to subtract the projection of the river by the surface sampler, as we did with the lake. But we already have this information over here. Here we have the surface sample subtracting the lake. So I'm gonna grab this information here, put as a source, and then I'm gonna put the difference over here. And now, instead of use this difference in this node, I'm gonna just cancel this one, and I'm gonna use this difference over here. But right now we see that our problem is not solved yet, but now we can tweak the scale of our bounds, and that's gonna be updated in real time, so we can see which values make sense to us to use. So I'm gonna keep tweaking these values. Now we can see that we start not having the trees anymore. So we still have a few trees. And now as you can see, we don't have any trees or any rocks in the river as well. And doing that, you can generate any landscape environment that you want. So just need to spawn and make those tweaks. And maybe if you wanted to create a really good environments, you can mix the procedural thing with some manual thing. Probably big projects gonna use both, because you can do all the heavy lifting and all the boring stuff using the PCG and make the tweaks and that 20% to make your level environment good using manual or other technique other than procedural. And that's it, guys. With those tools, you can use the water system together with the PCG without any problems. And with those nodes, you can create other kind of stuff. You can spawn other kind of environments, any meshes and assets that you want to spawn in any way that you want. So that's it for this video, guys. Probably I'm gonna create more and more videos about PCG because I'm playing a lot and I think it's be a really useful tool, and probably I'm gonna create more advanced topics in the future. So see you in the next video and thank you for watching.